I'm gonna geek out for a second. I've been doing this for a long time. This is my first time interviewing you. I am a tremendous fan, and I got to tell you, every role you do is so unique and so interesting. And when I saw Bang, I'm like, he does it again. I mean, where do you find these characters? Like, what drew you to this film?
Well, I find these characters because good writers and good directors have them and ask me to do them. So all credit in this one to Will Janowitz, the screenwriter, and to Vincent Grashaw, the director, who believed that a scrawny little kid from Oklahoma could pull this off. Uh, and I guess I'm just always out there looking for roles like this, and I'm patient, and so I wait for the really good ones and hope that they'll come along and that I'm not sitting around in my apartment uh, having said no one too many times.
Great answer. So, well, should we call him Bernard or Bang? How do we refer to him?
Let's call him Bang.
All right. So, the thing that I like about Bang, and it's kind of what I feel you're known for in your characters, is this physical representation of his emotions, right?
Mm.
I mean, even when you first see him when he's drunk in his living room, throwing up to make weight, this theme that goes throughout the film, he's got this angry, visceral, burning hatred look on his face, right? But he also has the composure of a boxer, this really tough, gritty stature. And so, when you're talking with Vincent, the director, and Will, the screenwriter, how do you craft this physical representation of him? Where does that come from?
Well, I guess the main conversation with those guys was when they brought the role to me, they'd offered it to several other actors who were more obvious choices as ex-boxers physically, um, and also some wonderful actors. And for various reasons, none of those guys worked out. And so they came to me, and my first question was, well, so you've written this guy as a former, um, I think he was a middleweight or a heavyweight even. Uh, and I said, I'm 5'6" and weigh 120 pounds. This doesn't, so we had to think about making him a featherweight, and that changed aspects of the script. But then I was kind of off to do the work on my own as an actor. Nothing against those guys. I mean, they'd done their work, crafted a really great role, and were figuring out how to shoot it in Vince's case. And so I went off and trained my ass off as a boxer. And I'd never boxed before. And so that was an intense process led by Teddy Atlas, who was Mike Tyson's trainer, and
Wow.
then a guy named Martin Snow, who's just a fantastic boxing trainer. And I was working with Martin 5, 6 days a week, and also hanging around the gym and meeting other fighters and sparring. And so it was really about allowing a lifestyle to seep into me on a daily basis, so that the way that I played the role was more than skin deep.
So was stuff like the ketchup sandwiches and the constant vomiting, was that in the script or was that something you added?
No, that was from Teddy. I just, when I was talking to Teddy Atlas, he talked about ketchup sandwiches as a way of making weight and the throwing up, and actually I think the throwing up was in the script, and Teddy Atlas gave us the ketchup sandwich, and I there's a lot of stuff that Teddy gave me that I took to Will and Vincent, and they put it in the script.
It makes it very, very realistic and believable. Okay, so let's steer towards Bang's interactions with these people in his life, right? And let's start with I believe the actor's name is Andrew Liner, his grandson
Yeah.
Justin, right? where he's forcing Justin to fulfill this dream that he and his twin brother failed at, right? And one of the things that I find so interesting about Bang is that he's like the train plowing down the tracks without any foresight about what's coming ahead of him, because he knows what happened to his brother, but yet he's pushing his grandson along the same path, right?
Right.
So am I right to view him as being completely myopic, or is his hatred or his burning desire against the antagonist Darnell what's really driving him, and he doesn't care if he screws up his grandson in the way?
I think it's a little bit of both. Myopic is a good word because the boxer, in a sense, is myopic. He sees what's close to him in the ring.
Uh,
Uh, and then I think you're also using the term in a temporal sense, even though it's a sight term, but we often use it in a temporal sense that you're only thinking of what's immediately in front of you, not what's in the future. And I think that's true of him as well. And so he is myopic, and it doesn't allow him to think about others and to think about consequences. He just knows that there's a thing in front of him, and he has to devise a strategy to land that punch. But also, and this is a neat trick of the script, as he's training his grandson, he realizes that he can exploit his grandson's abilities to get back at his lifelong nemesis, Darnell Washington. And so it eventually becomes that, but it's also the myopia.
Great answer, mate. So another thing that Vincent, the director, did, which I thought was absolutely brilliant and something you never really see before, is that he has this subplot romance with I believe the actress
Erica
is
Gimple.
Erica Gimple. She plays Sharon, and she's going through cancer, and it's just not something that is offhand. You see her with the alopecia, and when you guys have that lovemaking scene, you see her mastectomy scars. And I thought to myself, whoa, this is something that you just don't see in film, but it's addressed in a way that is not, exploitative or done for a gimmick. It's just like this is the way these two wounded people are connecting. Talk about, shooting those scenes sensitively, and was there a discussion about, well, are we going to show this with Vincent?
Vincent always wanted to show it. And then I have this makeup artist with whom I work named David Atherton, and I bring him whenever I can onto any show. And with these indie films, the deal I'll often make, because they can't afford to bring an actor's personal makeup person, is I'll say, well, bring him along and he'll do the effects makeup too, and you'll save money. And so he did the makeup on Erica and created those mastectomy scars. And so, but that was always going to be the case, that those would be shown. And partly David is to be credited for having done such incredible work with them. And then there's Erica Gimple, who's just a wonderful actor who was, on Fame, and has had a really incredible career. And not to be crass, but she is so beautiful and dear that in terms of the intimacy scenes, it was almost like the way she was playing the role, that the alopecia and the mastectomy scars gave her more depth, more beauty. And so those scenes were quite easy to play because they were real.
So let's talk about your work with Glenn Plummer, who plays Darnell Washington, his former, adversary boxer in the ring who's running for the mayor of Detroit. I love the way that Vincent uses like the blighted nature of Detroit, right? And this like, the broken down neighborhood, the broken down people like Bang. And here you have a guy like Darnell, who's like, I guess he's like a George Foreman like character where he's making money with the juicers
Yeah.
and he's living in this, effing mansion and living it up. And you can tell that just really pisses Bang off, and he really wants to get this guy's goat. But on the flip hand side, I actually watched the film twice and I was looking at Plummer's performance. Darnell like isn't an asshole. He doesn't come off as a bad guy. It's only when they have that climactic showdown do you really see what they were really all about. What's this whole thing really grinding on about? So am I misjudging that and how I'm viewing the script?
No, not at all. And I think again, credit to Glenn, but also to the writing. Uh, the character has Glenn's character Darnell has depth, nuance, a legitimate point of view. Much of what he does is justified. He's distinctively American. He's a capitalist, and he figured out how to pivot after a life in the ring in a way that Bang Bang was never able to do. And so, in a sense, he proffers this version of an ex-fighter that Bang Bang could have been, and wasn't, because like most fighters, Bang Bang isn't able to get past life in the ring. And that's like most of us. I mean, if somebody came to me and said, you can't act, write, and direct anymore, I don't know what the hell I'd do. And you've got to give credit to Darnell, the character of Darnell. He figured it out. And now he's running for mayor in the movie.
One of the things that Vincent does well. So like in the master shot, I feel like you're front and center, but he's got this great tracking camera movement. Even when you're rolling into Trans Am, you get out, you stand up, and it's like following you walk around this
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood. I'm not sure if you actually shot in Detroit, but this idea of poverty, of just everyone's in abject poverty and everyone is not doing well and it's kind of contributing to this malaise that Bang has about shit. I used to live in this $1 million house and now I'm broke. I thought is really captured well, and it's kind of like one of these background things that really focuses the character. So talk about that blocking with Vincent and getting that done. Was that something that was always present in pre-production that you kind of followed through on?
Well, he had a wonderful DP, a guy named Pat Aldinger, and German DP, known mostly for his commercials and music videos. And a good director can see that sort of work and say it's going to work for a feature film. And that's what he got with Pat. And they had a really good dialogue and approach to shooting the movie. Pat also was the camera operator for most of the film, which I always love when the DP operates the camera, because it's just a more pure relationship between the actor and the DP than when the DP is back watching it on a monitor and somebody else is operating. And I guess they wanted, as it were, to be in the ring with Bang Bang in his life. And so the coverage is close. It's on wider angle lenses as opposed to using a lot of compression. And that means the camera was very close to me and the other actors all the time. And Vincent wanted as few cuts as possible. So yes, the camera's following us around and staying with us within scenes without a lot of frenetic cutting.
Can you speak to the shooting schedule, because especially to like the audience, people don't realize how much gets done in this super short period of time on these indie films where you don't have the budget to film forever, and like the entire film is so intense from the first frame to the last. I'm curious, how quickly did you guys get this done?
17 days. It's shot in
Wow.
17 days, which is almost unheard of. Or maybe it was 18. It was 18 or 17. I just shot a movie which was either 17 or 18. I'm mixing them up. Life's a blur. But it was no more than 17 days. And it's all about prep. All of us, the actors, were ready when we got on set. so there wasn't a lot of wasted time. And Vincent knew what he wanted and was able to move on when he got it. The lighting setups were fast, and we just went in there and did it. But I will say that this was one of the more miraculous ones, because you do movies that are 20 days and under because of budget. And sometimes it kind of makes sense. And at the end of it, you think, well, we really didn't need any more time. This was not one of those movies. Every day was an enormous challenge.
So, I mean, do you enjoy that as a performer, like the all killer, no filler, we're just going to shotgun it? Or are you just like nervous the whole time? I mean, how's this going to turn out? I mean, how do you feel in the moment?
I make it so that I am never nervous. And
Hmm.
I do that by spending a lot of time preparing for a role. And so I know the material so well by the time I'm shooting that you can throw anything at me and I can do it. You can switch up the days, you can switch up the scenes. I can practically, at this point, with the way that I'm preparing lately when I do a role, I can almost say it backwards. And I think that on these shorter schedules, you owe it to the director to prepare in that way, because the director is up against it. And nobody's going to blame, the producers aren't going to blame you, the actor, at the end of the day. They're going to blame the director. And that's, I never want the director to be blamed for my shortcomings.
Wow, bravo, great answer. All right, so I'm going to move the interview into some of your past work and your future work because for MovieWeb, for a website, we track what people are interested in, and a few things are popping up regarding you, which I find very interesting. So, number one, the film Old Henry, which I absolutely loved, is like a massive streaming hit, X number of years later. And so, are you surprised by that? Are you aware of that?
It's funny, when I was offered Old Henry, well, the first thing I did is I saw that it was called Old Henry and that I had been offered the title role. And I went into my wife and I said, well, it's finally happening. I'm getting offered a role that is described as old. And then I read the script, and what I immediately thought was, my God, if this is done well, it could be like this Vince Vaughn movie that I really, really love. That's sort of a pulpy movie, but is really entertaining, called Brawl on Cell Block 66. And I thought this could be that. It probably will not get released in theaters, but it's such a solid genre movie that if it's done right, it could stream well. It blew those expectations out of the water. I can't believe what happened with that movie. In fact, it is far and away the most successful independent movie I've ever been in.
Wow.
And who knows why that happened? I mean, obviously Pazzi Ponzaroli, the writer director, has a lot to do with it, and the rest of the cast. And I don't know. That was another movie. I think that shot in about 20 days, and we just went down to Tennessee and went to work and and did our best. And Potsy was able to catch lightning in a bottle, and it really took off. I'm incredibly gratified and very proud of that film, and happy most of all for Potsy, the writer and director, because now his career is off to the races as a director.
I absolutely love that film. Okay, last question. They give me the wrap notice. This is also the big ask from our viewers. Are you going to play Samuel Stearns, the leader, again in the MCU? Do you see that in your future?
I would certainly be open to it. I love the MCU, and I love working for them. I'm a big admirer of Kevin Feige and his whole team. I loved working for Julius Onah, as well as Louis Leterrier, who directed the original Hulk. So I would say that's up to them. I'd be eager to do it, but you can't argue with the choices they've made. And if they don't see a future for the leader, then I will watch all the movies as a cheerleader. And if they want me back on the field, I'm there.
Bravo. Tim, I'm a big fan. Thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your interest.